And welcome back. We have a brand new interview for you this week. And today I have the lovely Amy Goldstein, who's agreed to be interviewed. And we're going to find out exactly what led her down this path. You ready, Amy?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. So, what made you decide to try a vegan or a plant based diet?
So I used to be close to 300 pounds. This was in 2012, so about 10 years ago. And I found out that I was pre-diabetic. And so I went down the rabbit hole of low carb dieting. And I did get my glucose numbers under control. I still was a diabetic, but I was able to control it, right? And then shortly after that, I found out that I had thyroid cancer. And so I doubled down on the low carb diet. And I had the regular treatments for thyroid cancer, which is surgery and radiation, and they didn't work. And my cancer continued to grow and spread. And I went through multiple surgeries and multiple radiation treatments. And one of my best friends, her then boyfriend at the time, now her husband, he recommended Dr. Furman's book, Eat to Live. And he's like, Amy, you're into health and fitness and, trying to, help beat this cancer thing that you're going through, which obviously isn't working. I was 3.5 years in at that point with my cancer battle. And he recommended Eat to Live, and I read that, and that was it. I transitioned to a plant-based diet fairly slowly. Dr. Furman, that book is one of his older books, and he kind of gives two different plans. He's like, this is the plan if you need to go all in, and then this is the plan if you're just kind of dipping your toe. And so I did the toe dip, but I cut out animal proteins. Dairy was harder. Sea life was harder. I fell victim to the omega-3 a falsehood that you have to eat fish to get omega-3s. But the transition, it was over about 9 months. But by 2015, I had transitioned completely to being not just vegan, but whole food plant-based. And I haven't looked back. I can tell you a whole laundry list of illnesses that I resolved, and all the weight that I lost.
Well, I've seen your before picture. Make sure I have a copy here for people to see. I'll also put a link to Dr. Furman's book too down below, but it is amazing. So, how long ago was that?
So that was 2015. That's almost 8 years. Almost 8 years, yeah.
Where do you get your omega 3s now? You're not eating fish?
From algae and from chia and flax seeds and
You mean from the same plant that fish actually gets theirs from?
yeah. I cut out the middle fish, as Dr. Greger says. So yeah, I take an algae-based omega-3 every day, but I also eat a ton of chia and flax seeds. Even though I was plant-based, at one point I was still suffering from autoimmune disease, and so I followed Dr. Brooke Goldner's protocol, and she's very, very into the chia and flaxseed, and I've continued to eat lots of chia and flax seeds, even though I no longer have any autoimmune conditions. But at the time, I did. I was able to heal myself.
That's amazing. I love Dr. Brooke Goldner too. So, what's the greatest benefit you've seen so far because of all of this?
It's a laundry list. It really is the laundry list of chronic illnesses that I was suffering from. I was 200 84 pounds at my highest. I'm now in my 150s. I'm up a little bit. I'm postpartum. I have a baby, but at my lowest, I was 139. I don't know that I need to be down that low. I have a lot of muscle on my frame now. I've built a lot, but so weight loss, that's major. I had cancer, right? I no longer have life-threatening cancer. I had diabetes. I no longer have diabetes. Fatty liver, gallstones, chronic migraines, osteoarthritis, IBS, all gone, all gone. Yeah. I'm a new person. I'm a different person than I was before. I'm a happier person. I'm a healthier person.
I can see it in your face. Um, so how easy was it back before you found Dr. Furman's? Let's say when you first found Dr. Furman and his book, how easy was it, or how hard was it to make the switch?
It was an easy transition for me because I did do it gradually. And at that point, I was already following a low carb diet, which is very controlling. So I already was prepping my own foods and cooking my own foods and controlling every single morsel of food that was going into my body. Eating clean. But I swapped out the animal proteins that I was eating so many chickens, and grass fed products, and you know it breaks my heart now talking about it. So I went plant based, but I also learned about the benefits of and the ethical side of veganism. So to me, eating low carb was it's just traumatic on considering the amount of animals that were suffering because of me. But the transition, it wasn't that difficult. I swapped out a lot of those animal sources for plant-based sources of proteins, legumes, dark leafy greens, chia and flaxseed, also, and hemp seeds and pumpkin seeds, very high in proteins. And I already was eating a lot of whole grains at that point, so it wasn't that big of a transition. Dairy was a challenge, and also, like I said, sea life, you know, giving that up.
Did your family go on this journey with you?
Initially, no. So I'm 8 years in, right? Initially, they didn't. I was living away from my family already. I'm in California. Most of my family are on the East Coast, and so they weren't physically there with me. My oldest brother also has thyroid cancer. I learned about my diagnosis from him because he was diagnosed. I decided to also get checked because I had thyroid problems already. So I did express to him, I expressed to my grandmother at the time who had hypertension. I did try to educate them of the benefits of eating this way. And I think my grandmother finally started to transition. It was 2019. She started to transition then, and she didn't go all the way, but she did go very deep and fairly far into it. And she had a leaky heart valve and chronic high blood pressure, and she was able to get her blood pressure into normal range. So that was pretty amazing. Yeah. My oldest brother, it took him longer. He transitioned about a year ago, and he's doing really well. He also has the same thyroid cancer that I suffered with. His surgery wasn't actually as invasive as mine, but he suffered from many more side effects from the surgery, like lymphedema. And his lymphedema, since he's transitioned, has nearly gone away. So that's pretty amazing.
Wow. Do you have anybody who Just won't listen at all.
My father, he didn't listen at all, and he suffered with Alzheimer's, even though I bought him Doctor's Scherzai's books. And unfortunately, he died last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I did try. It's all we can do. We can we can be an example for people, and
If you could say anything to him or anybody else who is still, let's say, ignoring you or teasing you or making fun of you for eating this way, what's one thing you wish they would understand about why you're doing this?
lifestyle and habit change is so personal, right? Thankfully, none of my friends or family members ever teased me. I also never really pushed it on them. But when you look at the evidence and you look at the science, why not do the most that you can for your own benefit, for your own health, for the health of the planet, and also potentially to not cause more harm and suffering to to animals. So for me, I did it for selfish reasons, right? My health. I was suffering. I was sick. I was dying. I was going through pretty nasty radiation treatments, which left me with serious side effects for the rest of my life. I wish that I can tell people, and I do tell people. I speak very publicly about this on social media. Change now before you go through what I went through. I was lucky. I went through this when I was 32. It's early. It's long before I'm potentially going to suffer from the Alzheimer's and the hypertension that obviously run in my family, and also the diabetes that runs in my family. So yeah, that's what I try to share with my friends and my family members, and
Okay.
some of it sinks in, some of it does.
So before, would you say seafood was like one of your favorite foods?
Yes. um, Dairy and seafood.
And what's your favorite food now?
Fruit. I love fruit.
Big change.
Yeah, yeah, definitely changed.
And fruit don't try to swim away from you.
No. That's for sure.
So if you could give one tip to anybody considering this lifestyle, what would it be?
Get in touch with your why, the reason why you're doing it. That was the best motivation for me, and it continues to be. My why has shifted over the years. I'm a new mom. So now, being healthy for my daughter, and being a an example for her, that's my why now. But you have to get in touch with the reason why you're going to make these changes. They're not that easy. Our culture isn't set up, our society isn't set up to make healthy eating an easy part of our lives. So you have to get in touch with that why, and you have to remind yourself of what it is regularly. That way you can stay on track.
So was that little baby daughter of yours going to grow up vegan?
She is 100% plant-based. Shortly after she was born, I had some difficulty with breastfeeding, and we did have to get some donor milk from omnivore moms. Other than that, she is 100% plant-based. All of the food that she has ever eaten is plant-based. And I just have to share this. We got milk from, I'd say, about 8 or 9 different moms. I'd have to go back and count, but it was quite a few mothers that helped. And as we shifted from each of these mothers' milk, in addition to my own, but about half of her nutrition was coming from these other moms. It was just amazing to see how her skin and her digestive system changed.
Really?
They really, based on what they were eating. One of the mother's milk, I was able to tell that she ate, I'm guessing it was pizza, because there was this thick layer of oily fat, like what you see that drips off of the pizza, like oil, that was floating on the top of the milk. It was it was so, yeah. And my daughter's skin would suffer. She would get eczema flare-ups from different mothers, depending on which mother's milk we were eating. It was just amazing.
I've never heard that before. That's incredible.
Yeah, what we eat gets, the proteins, the fats, the carbohydrates. That's what goes into the milk, and it goes into them.
I don't think I have to ask you this, but could you ever go back?
Never. No. No. I'd I'd go hungry first.
Do you have anything else?
So for me, a lot of why I do what I do is based on improving myself and looking at the science that other people have done in research, and trying to learn, how best to live a happy, joyful, long life. So for people who might be on the fence about this, I mean, look into the science. Look at nutritionfacts.org. There's a slew of books out there. I named Dr. Furman. Dr. Greger does have other books. Dr. Esselstyn, the Schurzeyes I mentioned. There's just so much evidence as to the benefits of this, not just for our health, but also for the environment and also for animals. So I think the biggest difficulty that people have, are making it happen. How do they incorporate it into their life? And I think the one last tip that I want to share, I like Dr. Barnard's method to transition. So he says, week one, switch over your breakfast. So take your breakfasts, and you're going to make 5 new recipes for breakfast week one, and try these 5 new plant-based breakfasts. And by the end of the week, you're probably going to have 2 or 3 that you really enjoy. Stick with those 2 or 3. Eat those for breakfast from now on. Okay, week 2, you're going to do the same thing for lunch. Try 3 to 5 to 8, however many lunches you wanna throw in there. Try a bunch of plant-based lunches. Week 3, do the same thing for dinner, and then after a whole week, after 3 weeks, a whole month, you've basically transitioned your entire diet over to plant-based. And then you can start sprinkling in new recipes, try a new recipe here or there. We're creatures of habit. We eat the same foods all the time anyway. You just have to find the new same foods to eat all the time. And
I have 2 breakfasts. I go back and forth.
yep, me too. Yeah.
Either oatmeal or potatoes.
Potatoes for breakfast sound delicious.
My potatoes with green chili and with salsa, a little cilantro. Yeah. Well, thank you, Amy. This was fun.
Thank you. Yeah.
So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure and do that like, subscribe, bell thing, the YouTube thing. And I'll be back next week for another video. Until then, this is Chuck from Brand New Vegan. Thanks for watching.